𝗙cie𝗹𝗹𝗶. Many people ask, is faith important? What's the importance of faith? Well, the direct answer is from Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 39th verse. Gita says, श्रद्धावान लभते ज्ञानम तत्परा संयतीन्द्रिया ज्ञानम लब्ध्वा param shantim achirena adhigacchati. Gita says, faith, why do we need faith? Why can't we approach spiritual subjects completely rationally and logically? Well, because it is said, श्रद्धावान लभते ज्ञानम. By faith, you get knowledge. What kind of knowledge? If we don't have faith in God to begin with, then we will not even start reading scriptures. Now, we can get knowledge of God through scriptures, but first we should have faith, a minimal faith that God exists. And then we can read scriptures and approach them and understand about God. The only information about God we can get from scriptures. You can't get knowledge of God out of speculation and logical analysis. That's impossible. I mean to say, you can't even get knowledge of anybody in this material world by speculation. Either you have to Google or you have to get some information from somewhere. Scriptures are books which inform us about God. But for that, you should have faith that the scriptures are talking about God, and you should have faith that God exists. Otherwise, why in the first place you're going to read scriptures? So, faith gives you knowledge about God. And another thing is, faith also, when we read scriptures and we get knowledge of God and we imbibe it through spiritual practices, through meditation, through chanting God's name, then you get realizations. And that's another component of knowledge. So by faith you get knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Two types of knowledge. One is scriptural knowledge, one is realized knowledge. And that's what Bhagavatam says, 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹𝗶 nishnātam brahmani upashamashrayam. Knowledge of scriptures and the realization of that knowledge. That's called as complete knowledge. That is why it is said, श्रद्धावान लभते ज्ञानम. And when we get these realizations, now before I proceed, what do I mean by realizations? What kind of realizations we get when we do some practices? Well, there are three kinds of realizations to begin with. Basic foundational realizations you will get if you do any spiritual practices. Of course, a bona fide and right spiritual practices according to what scriptures have recommended. So first, you will start realizing your own defects. You will start seeing your own defects, which is very difficult to see. But that spiritual practices, because you go inwards, you will be able to see what's happening within you. What are the merits and what are the demerits? First, more important is demerits. Second, you will be able to also see about God. The knowledge which you have read about God, you will be able to realize it. For example, you have read God is everywhere, He is omniscient. If you do right spiritual practices, realizations will come and you will feel His presence outside, inside, everywhere. God is everywhere. That feeling of presence will come in your mind. And the third thing in realization is you will get bliss and satisfaction and complete peace of mind. Your materialistic desires will reduce and your mind will become peaceful. These realizations will come to begin with, and of course, realizations have no end. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Realizations are like sky. It's up to you how much high you can fly. So by faith you get this knowledge. And ಶ್ರದ್ಧಾವಾನ್ ಲಭತೆ ಜ್ಞಾನಂ ತತ್ಪರ ಸಂಯತೀಂದ್ರಿಯ. Once you get this knowledge, once you get realizations, then you get sense control. You get control over your mind. You get mastery over your mind. These realizations, through the power of these realizations, you can control and master your mind. And once you master your mind, jnana labdha param shantim, your mind becomes completely peaceful. Now this peace is very different. Completely peaceful means your mind will experience love of God. Your mind will experience a relationship, a union with God. Tatpara saitindriya jnana param shantim achirena adhigacchati. This is a verse. That's why faith is important. Faith and knowledge are not two different things. Now, this footnotes I have to add here. Many people who come to spiritual, so many people who come to spiritual practices or meditation, they say, well, knowledge is not required. Simply have faith and proceed in this path. Many people even equate religion and spirituality with faith, and science with reason and rationality and knowledge. But that's absolutely wrong. This verse, 4 chapter 39th verse Bhagavad Gita, is such a central verse. It marries knowledge and faith. Marries knowledge and faith. Of course, this knowledge is not scientific knowledge. This knowledge is a very different knowledge, which is knowledge which is subjective, which is from within you, which is knowledge and realization of reality and God. So that's why a person who claims to have faith in God, he should also be knowledgeable. Knowledge, he should have scriptural knowledge, he should have realized knowledge. Otherwise, there is no value of faith. Faith without knowledge, it is said, faith without knowledge is sentimentality. And knowledge without faith is mental speculation, or at maximum it is some scholarliness, it is a show of some scholarliness. So this verse is such a central, it marries faith and knowledge, and it brings spirituality. It actually helps us to perceive spirituality, to perceive religion as not as a sentimental issue, not as a blind superstition, but as a real process which can give you real knowledge, which can be experienced by everybody. It's not that it is subjective, so it will vary from one person to another person. This subjectivity, this experience, these realizations can be had by anybody and everybody, and those realizations will be exactly the same if that process is followed properly with faith and with proper procedures. Hare Krishna.